Hello, I'm Hayden Coussens. Today we will go to the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Bentonville, Arkansas. We'll go here to see one of the most breathtaking pieces of American artwork, Jasper Francis Cropsey's The Backwoods of America. Cropsey was born on February 18, 1823 in Staten Island, New York. As a child, Cropsey was often stricken with illness. While he was not in school due to his illness, he would teach himself painting and drawing. At a young age, Cropsey showed promise as an architect and set up his own architecture office. By 1851, at the age of 28, Cropsey was elected as a full member of the National Academy of Design, and it was clear that art was his love. Later in life, Cropsey would go on to co-found the American Society of Painters and Watercolors. In 1858, Cropsey created one of his finest works, The Backwoods of America. He modeled the painting after his trip to the White Mountains of New Hampshire. The painting is oil on canvas. This allowed Cropsey to be very accurate with his brushstrokes, leaving them less painterly. These deliberate strokes can be seen in the attention to detail of the landscape. The painting is 3.5 feet by almost 6 feet. The larger size of the work allows the viewer to feel surrounded by the rising mountains and the dense wilderness. As the sun breaks over the peaks of the mountains, the light rays draw your eye to the log cabin settled next to the lake. Just outside the cabin, you can see 3 small children, and closer to the lake, you see a woman, presumably their mother, milking a cow to provide food for the kids. As your eye follows along the road from the house, you see the father of the family walking into the woods, carrying an axe, with the family dog in tow. One assumes that the father is going to cut down trees to create firewood to warm his home. Along the road, the viewer can see pumpkins and corn stalks, an indication that we are watching the family on an early fall morning. Cropsey has painted what seems like a perfect little pioneer family nestled into the perfect scenery around them. But is there a deeper meaning behind the family's actions? Cropsey was a first-generation artist of the Hudson River School, and this is evident in the Backwoods of America because of its realistic nature. The period of this painting is first-generation Hudson River School, which was from around 1825 to 1880. In many of the Hudson River School paintings, one can see landscapes, sometimes with people, but most of the time without, and even less often would one see a Hudson River School painting with an actual settlement included in it. This raises the question, why would Cropsey include the pioneer family and their home amongst the nature? One possible answer is that Cropsey is portraying the struggle of man versus nature. At this time in American history, westward expansion was in full swing. Most of the Midwestern states were being formed in the same decade, and just 4 years later, the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific Railroad companies would have chartered the first transcontinental railroad. The Backwoods of America has many symbols of such a struggle. The cabin is illuminated because it is the focus of the piece, and is possibly the start of a future city that would cover the landscape. Also, the father with the axe, going to cut down the trees, shows the eventual destruction of nature. The domestication of animals that the viewer sees with the cattle and the dog can show the human's takeover. However, the height and strength of the mountains and the density of the forest show that Mother Nature would not succumb easily. I chose to review this painting because of the sense of awe I felt when I first saw it. The composition makes the painting feel larger than it actually is. From across the room, it looks like a picture. It's hard to imagine the focus and skill it took to create such an accurate representation of nature. The work makes me want to pack up and visit New Hampshire. Another artwork that is similar to the Backwoods of America is Among the Sierra Nevada, California by Albert Bierstadt. Bierstadt painted it in 1868, just 10 years after the Backwoods of America was created, using oil on canvas as well. Both of the artists were part of the Hudson River School and lived in New York. The artists' styles are very similar with the same style of realism. Cropsey and Bierstadt understood how to make a painting envelop the viewer by putting such a large landscape on a more manageable canvas, but still letting the viewer feel as though they were placed in the setting. Both paintings are landscapes of mountains with the light coming from over the top, a body of water on the picture plane, and land with a forest in the foreground. However, they look flipped. Another difference between the two is the lack of people in Bierstadt's painting. While Cropsey took the approach of humans and nature coexisting for the moment, Bierstadt focuses solely on the grandeur of the natural setting. Bierstadt uses a larger range of values than Cropsey as well. And among the Sierra Nevada, California, you can see very bright whites on the mountain peaks and very dark blacks in the shadows cast by the mountain, which adds a tinge of tenebrism to the piece. While in the Backwoods of America, there are bright spots where the sunlight shines through the mountains, and there are darker spots in the mountain shadows. There are neither very bright nor dark values. I believe that the focus of the two paintings is quite different as well. Even though they are painted in a similar style, Bierstadt really hits home on the beauty of the natural world and untouched nature, whereas Cropsey wants to show the settlement and expansion of the American people. In 1858, Cropsey sent the painting to the Royal Academy exhibition in England, where it sold to a Scottish collector. In 1933, the University of Western Ontario received the painting as a gift from a man named W. H. Abbott. And in 2007, the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art purchased the painting and still display it today. During his lifetime, Cropsey was a rather unknown artist. However, he rose to fame in the 1960s after collectors started finding his works appealing.